This week I've got a couple of really cool stories for you about how to further immerse yourself in Tai Chi and Kung Fu. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Matt. If you're new here, this is a channel about Chinese martial arts, so Kung Fu, Tai Chi and Qigong. This week's video was inspired by Moses McCormick. He was a YouTube polyglot who made some incredible videos. You may have seen him under his name Laoshu, but he did all these videos bonding with people, speaking in their native tongue, and he inspired me and so many others. Sadly, Moses has passed away, but just because of his legacy, I wanted to make this video. Essentially, how to further immerse yourself in Chinese martial arts, so Tai Chi or Kung Fu. I recommend you learn some Chinese. Now, I know the first thing you're thinking is, I did languages at school and it was awful. And that was my feeling. I had no interest in learning languages, certainly not as an adult. Let me tell you these couple of stories and hopefully it will inspire you to at least dip your toe a little bit, because they're really cool and it just goes to show what learning language can do for people. So story number one, it doesn't actually sound as cool as story number two, so make sure you stick around for that one. Story number one. Every year I go to China. So my teacher in the UK is Neil Johnson. I'll do a link to his channel in the description below. Hi Neil. But we also go to China and study dog boxing with Lin Zai Pei. So Master Lin is an incredible man, not only in terms of his skill and his abilities, but he's also just a really, really nice guy. When we first started going out to China and training with him, there was always this thing of, firstly, we would need a translator all the time. It wasn't literally the Westerners on one side of the room and the Chinese on the other, but there was this thing of, there was this barrier of language between us and our classmates and Master Lin, and we couldn't converse freely. If you have to get a translator to explain a joke, no one likes a joke explained, do they? That inspired me to push myself and do some Chinese. First of all, obviously, I was rubbish, and I was actually rubbish for a long time. Now, I'll be totally honest with you. My Chinese is, I would say, at an intermediate level, but I don't want to pull the wool over your eyes and suggest that I'm in any way fluent. I've got a long way to go. It's just part of my journey. It's even just my level of Chinese. It just has completely changed my experience of going to China. So first of all, it would just be literally being able to say, good morning, how are you, to Master Lin when we start training. But then slowly, as my level has improved, it's then being able to have a chat and understand the stories that are being told in class or after class, or when we go to have a big banquet or some performance and then chatting with classmates, Master Lin. Just amazing thing, where suddenly I went from almost like I was looking in, I wasn't quite immersed in there, to the point that I was in it. I was part of it, because I can just understand things and talk to people. And it's just an amazing thing to then have that sense of belonging and being part of something. Hopefully that might inspire you a little bit, but this next story is just really cool. So even if you don't have, some master you go and train with in China, this next story could happen to anybody. And it was simply just because I spoke Chinese. Story number two. One year I'm going to China. I managed to get a month off work, and I was going to China to train with Master Lin for a whole month. Something I was aware of was I didn't want to just go from my apartment to training, to my apartment to training, and that would be my life for a month. And so I spent a couple of days before I went to Fuzhou to train there. I went to Yong Chun. Now, anyone who does White Crane Kung Fu knows Yong Chun, the birthplace of White Crane Kung Fu. And I didn't do any training there, but I just sort of wanted to absorb the Kung Fu spirit by osmosis. Just go there as a tourist and just enjoy it. So I fly to China, get on a coach, and I'm on my way to Yong Chun. I want to get my ear into the southern accent. The different accents in China could be very different. So I want to just get my ear in first. We'll start chatting with the woman next to me. When we get to Yong Chun, she says, I'm going to go get lunch. Would you like to get some lunch? I'm famished, absolutely fantastic, let's go. She takes me to this cool local restaurant, and I think I had Buddha jumps over the wall from memory. So whilst we got talking at lunch, I mentioned that I'm interested in Chinese martial arts. Oh, you should go to the place on the hill. The place on the hill, yeah, Dai, the place on the hill. Oh, okay, well I got her to write down the characters for me, take them off to a motorbike taxi. Now in Yong Chun, they still had the motorbike taxis. This was a few years back, but not, we are talking about 3 or 4 years. In Fuzhou, they've definitely outlawed them. You do not see them anywhere. Anyway, so they're still in Yong Chun. Go up to a motorbike taxi, say, I'd like to go to Dai. Oh yeah, Dai. I'll show them the characters just to be on the safe side. Yeah, Dai. Jump on the back, we're off. I'm on the back of the bike, I'm in my shorts, I haven't got a helmet on, the wind's in my hair, we're going up these mountain roads and going side to side. We get to the top, this place, Dai, and there's this lookout that looks out over the whole town from this mountain. Really, really cool on its own. And then there's this White Crane museum. Oh, awesome. So I jump off the motorbike taxi, he goes. I go up to the museum and it's closed. It opens in a couple of hours, so I've got a couple of hours to kill. So I start walking around the local area, just trying to kill some time, and I go over the brow of the hill, and as I'm looking down, I can see these old roofs from some old building, and it just reminded me of like the kung fu movies of my youth. As a tourist, it just looked cool. So I started walking down towards what I could see, and I start walking down this concrete road. And then I realised it's not actually a concrete road, it's a driveway to a man's house. And the man is sitting outside his house eating oranges. And I'm basically just walking up to him. So he looks up. Oh, sorry, I'm just having a look around. Obviously all in Mandarin. Oh, no problem. He pulls up a stool, gives me some oranges. I sit there with the man, just start eating some oranges in the sunshine. So he's got this house and then this flat bit out the front and then just a view of the mountain. And it was just beautiful, sitting in the sunshine, chatting with the man. Anyway, I mentioned I did Chinese martial arts, and that changed everything. It turned out he was a White Crane master, Zheng Qing Yong, and he was actually in Will from Monkey Steals Peach in his video where they went there. That was the same house that I went to. So I'm sitting there chatting with this man. He then says, oh, come on inside, shows me all these old pictures of people training and everything else. It's just really, really cool. And then he takes me down to the old house, and I wish I had some pictures of it to show you. I've been to old houses like that before, where it's kind of, you know, the training courtyard in the middle and then the rooms are on the outside. But this one was really, really small. I don't know if it's because it was on the side of the hill there and there just wasn't any room. But yeah, it was the old training area. It didn't seem like anyone lived there. And then he's got all these old pictures on the wall, and we're sort of chatting and saying, oh, I recognise that posture. Oh, that's from this pattern. Oh, we've got a pattern of the same name. It was just really amazing. I was just in Kung Fu. My time's up and I have to go. I'm going to go back to the museum. I didn't want to take up this man's entire afternoon. And before I go, he goes to give me what I think is a business card. I've got it here, hold on. So, in China, you often get given a business card, and get given to you in two hands, and you take it in two hands and you, oh, that's really interesting, show some interest, and you pop it away. He gave me this box. Oh, thank you. Don't know what's in this box from this man I've just met. And instead of having a business card, he has like this little heart keyring thing. And it says, Tai Zu Quan, and then his number. It's a picture of him doing some White Crane pose there. Now, I tried it just before doing the video. It's got a battery inside. It used to be when you twist the top, it would start flashing and doing all these disco lights, which was lovely. So then I go up to the museum. Museum's open. Go in and start looking around. No one else is about at all. Funny enough, there were some pictures of Neil from one of his trips years and years ago, which was quite funny. But what was also strange was being in this museum that was almost like Kung Fu had stopped in time. It was just like this document of it, opposed to like the living Kung Fu that's out in the real world and was with Master Zheng and everything else. And it was just a really cool experience. And none of that would have happened had I not been able to speak some Chinese, speak to the woman on the coach, speak to this man. Now, one of the joys of learning Chinese martial arts is it's beyond just a simple physical movement. It's also, you learn about Chinese culture and history and philosophy and everything else like that. And even knowing a little bit of Chinese language, Mandarin, or pick a dialect, but even a little bit of Chinese just gets you further into that world. It was just really, really fascinating, and hopefully those stories have inspired you, much like watching all of Laoshu's videos back in the day would inspire me as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this week's video. Check out my new lighting setup as well, by the way. I'm trying to look a little bit more professional. I'll be doing videos every week, so if you're interested, hit subscribe down below, that will help me out. Also as well, I've done a video called What's Important to You, and it's just more about doing what you love, so I recommend that video now. Thanks guys, see you in the next one.